has two kinds of hedges. One is a hedge against inflation and outright confiscation of wealth. The other is against counterparty risk. And, when regional banks started going down, this fear sort of, our memories are fresh with 08, 09, the counterparty risk became real. And so there was this flight into Bitcoin, a completely decentralized, transparent network, which is not subject to counterparty risk.
The long-awaited decision on a spot Bitcoin ETF in the U.S. is just around the corner, and you don't want to miss what investment guru Cathie Wood has to say about it. On August 13th, the SEC will have to make a monumental call on ARK Invest's application for a spot Bitcoin ETF. But that's not all. Financial giants like BlackRock and WisdomTree are also vying for approval. What does this mean for the crypto market? How will it impact Bitcoin's price? And more importantly, will the SEC finally give the green light after years of regulatory tussle? In a shocking revelation, Cathie Wood dropped some serious truth bombs about the SEC's potential loss in the Grayscale lawsuit and how it could pave the way for multiple spot Bitcoin ETF approvals simultaneously. But that's not even the juiciest part. Wood also dishes out her candid thoughts on the recent regional bank crisis, Coinbase's role as the flight to safety exchange, and even Tesla's future in the electric vehicle market. So grab your popcorn and get ready to be blown away as we play the clips from Cathie Wood's latest explosive interview. This is one roller coaster ride you don't want to miss.
August 13th will come and go, and I think the SEC, if it's going to approve a Bitcoin ETF, will approve more than one at once. So then, again, because most of these essentially will be the same, and it will come down to marketing, communicating the message. We've been putting out our Bitcoin monthly for the last year. We are now starting a Bitcoin brainstorming session. Our first one we launched last Thursday. So we're trying to get the word out there that, our research is deep. And we've been doing it since 2015 when we gained our first exposure to GBTC. We were the first public asset manager to gain exposure to Bitcoin at all in 2015. Two other branches of government, the judicial branch and the legislative branch, are giving the SEC pause because the SEC is losing cases in court having to do with its regulations around crypto. That's the first thing. And there are bills that are making their way through the House and are seeing some bipartisan support. So I do believe that Gary Gensler, I guess last week or 10 days ago, said something like, well, I'm not the only one who makes this decision. There are 5 commissioners. Now, of course, we know they're weighted towards the Democrats, 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. And so one assumes that the way that Gary votes is the way the FCC will vote. But he seemed to be distancing himself a little bit, and so maybe we can take that as a bit of a clue.
On August 13th, 2023, the SEC will have to decide on ARK Invest's request for a spot Bitcoin ETF. 9 companies, including BlackRock, Valkyrie, and WisdomTree, have also submitted applications for a spot Bitcoin ETF. If the SEC does not agree with the proposed rule change, it can either reject the application or extend the deadline by up to 240 days. Wood expressed optimism that the SEC would approve more than one spot Bitcoin ETF simultaneously. She believes that if the SEC approves a Bitcoin ETF, it will likely approve multiple applications at once, as most of the filings are essentially the same. Wood highlighted the potential impact of a spot Bitcoin ETF approval on the price of Bitcoin. She cited the example of when BlackRock announced its filing for a Bitcoin ETF in June 2022, which led to a temporary surge in the Bitcoin price. However, she noted that the price has remained relatively stable since then. A more significant event that influenced the Bitcoin price, according to Wood, was the regional bank crisis earlier this year. During this period, Bitcoin's price jumped from around $19,000 to $30,000 as investors sought a flight to safety in the decentralized and transparent Bitcoin network, which is not subject to counterparty risk.
We think that it is the most regulatory compliant exchange out there. And we've been very pleased with how its derivatives exchange in Bermuda has ramped in here. It's very early days, but again, clearly a trusted partner. And we are also seeing that there's more turmoil out there, I guess. Hubei, I think that's how you say the name of the exchange, and Tether and Binance. There are rumblings out there that not is all is well, and so Coinbase is going to be the flight to safety exchange, no doubt about it. I find so interesting still, and this is why we believe that the SEC will lose the grayscale case. How can you approve a Bitcoin futures ETF and not a Bitcoin ETF? And in fact, if you're really thinking about consumer protection, a futures ETF is swap space. So there's counterparty risk there that you would not have with a Bitcoin ETF, which is backed one-to-one with Bitcoin in Coinbase's cold storage. It still confounds me. Zach and love Zach and think he will do very well wherever he goes. I know there are rumors out that there are some CEO positions out there which he might like to take. So we will miss him, but his successor has been with Tesla right underneath him since 2018. So he was put through the fires. Remember, in 2018-19, many analysts were saying that Tesla was going bankrupt. And so he's been there, he's gone through the fire, and it's a tough job. It's a tough job. So I guess 13 years was a really good run for Zach, and can't say enough good things about him and what he did for Tesla. But I think he trained his successor well. We have a 5-year investment time horizon, and we do think the cycle for autos is going to get tougher in here generally. But we think, just like last year when electric vehicles were up 69% or 65%, something like that, and gas-powered vehicles down 7% globally, we think we're going to continue to see that share shift accelerate because electric vehicle prices are going to follow their costs down in a way that gas-powered cars cannot. So we think that electric vehicles will be less expensive, and they are better cars than gas-powered vehicles. So we think they're going to take tremendous share, and even if the auto market relapses in here, which we think it could, we don't think electric vehicles will relapse. So we think the 1.8 million for this year, which was, Elon said 1.8 to 2 million, they're going to have some shutdowns in the third quarter for maintenance and upgrades. And so he lowered his expectation to the lower end of that range. I think he likes to lower expectations and then beat. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's higher than that. I know very early on they said to their suppliers, if you will build it, we will buy it. So yes, they've been in a preferred position and probably still are. They're also very smart. Tesla's engineers are very smart. They are engineering cobalt out of the cars. They're doing it for a few reasons. The supply is uncertain, and it's very focused in, I guess, the Congo, where there are a lot of environmental and governance and social concerns. So they're engineering it out. And they're moving into, and you should, on lithium, actually, if you look at the price, it went up tenfold in 2 years, and now it's down about 40% from that peak. I think lithium is one of the most pervasive minerals out there. So we don't think lithium is an issue at all, especially now that the Chinese and the Koreans and all of the U.S. OEMs are basically telling lithium miners, just build it and we will take it. And then the other interesting thing is, again, this is Tesla leading the charge, so to speak, in this category. Lithium iron phosphate. So taking out the nickel and other metals that may end up in short supply, especially if we get into very strong cycles. And the lithium iron phosphate is a much lower priced, or will lead to a much lower priced car as well.